Welcome to Backbreaking News, episode 132. These are all recorded in advance, so watch all the way to the end on all of them. So 27 to now. Some of them are going to be a little bit longer, but today we're reacting to episode 10. Yeah. Let's get.
Welcome to Backbreaking News, episode 10. Today, we'll be talking about what I think is the best wrestling game out there. Just kidding. We already did. We're actually going to be talking about the AEW game and what I would like to see in it before it comes out. We talked about the WWE game.
Little did I know that not many people would be a fan of the game, but I think it was pretty fun when I first got my hands on it.
Now let's see what my opinions of the other side of this thing is. What I want in AEW's game is I want more match types. I want like the dog collar match, because I still think that I want those type of match types that they did maybe once or twice, because I think that it would be an interesting way to game is an interesting way to play the game, because I don't want to just see, oh, I played Chris Jericho, oh, I played as Kenny Omega, and nothing new. I just don't want to do one-on-one tag team matches without having match types.
Yeah, essentially, they had very little match types in their first game. Hopefully the second one goes better, if they plan on making a second one. So, that's all I can say. Just improve and adapt.
Kind of going to be boring. I personally think that it's too soon to really tell what they're going to do. But I think my opinion should be heard so they know what wrestling fans want. I think
I'm speaking on behalf of everyone. I'm just speaking on behalf of myself.
The best way to get fans into your wrestling division is to make a good game. So they would watch it. Because they like your game, and they would be like, maybe I have to watch this. And plus, all the old wrestlers from WWE are there, and they're being it's a much more attitude era, ruthless aggression era type thing. So, I think there should be something like a universe mode.
Something like a universe mode would have been really cool, but instead of, they had mini games which were goofy.
Would be fun and easy to play. They can't call it universe mode because they own the right to that. 2K owns the right to the actual GM mode name. So if they use WWE GM mode, they won't.
They could have added GM mode, universe mode, but instead they did nothing cool. It's a good game. They have a career mode, but it's too storyline. I want to control my own character, have my career go out as long as I want, and then retire. In my opinion, that's how wrestling careers should go. You should be able to retire when you want and quit when you want.
Actually, get sued from the company, but by the way, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but how comes I know Sting doesn't have just anyway, I don't think they could legally market this game without permission from WWE. Here's the reason why I think that. Before we get into this, because if they have arenas and they use the Bash at the Beach, WWE has right to that. So
they do, because of WCW. Cody Rhodes tried to use that name, and WWE was not too happy. So AEW got not sued, but got threatened, and they had to stop using the Bash at the Beach name.
They might have to go through that. So I think the best way they could get out, but that's not what we're talking about today. But I feel like the best way to get fans interested into your product is making a good wrestling game and people seeing it online and stuff and saying, this is a great game. That's the type of thing they need to do. So they can't, all they're trying to do is make it look like a No Mercy game. No Mercy. But I think it should be its own identity.
And that's the problem. They were trying to go too much for the old No Mercy feel that they ruined the game for a lot of people.
Like a new version of the No Mercy. They should came up with something very much original. Because and plus I can't even play the game because they're not releasing it on PS4. I still think that the PS4.
Little did I know they actually did, but I have it on the Nintendo Switch. I think it's a fun game. I think it's just that you have to get so many updates. They just don't update it on new characters. You have to buy a DLC, which isn't probably worth the money just to get like Chris Jericho or so-and-so. DLC is one of the lamest things in wrestling games. If you add a new character, I should get it for free.
Way better quality, so they should release an edition on PS4. If they did that, I would buy their game in a heartbeat. I'm telling you. They have to consider that not all fans would have the PS5. And it's not going to be fair because not many people have the money to just grab that game and a PlayStation 5. So I think that they should be looking for a way to make more copies for a PS4 edition than the PS5, because I went to the store and no one's really been buying any PS5 games. Most of the things that are getting bought are PS4 games because most people have.
Well, this was 3 years ago, so 2 years ago maybe. I don't remember, but it was a long time ago.
But as far as what I want in this, I want to be a very specific type of game because I like playing wrestling games, and I think that a career mode would also be good. They should do a career mode. They should honestly do more for this game because their roster isn't as big as WWE, so it's gonna be fun, but there's only so much time you can play as multiple different varieties of characters.
Yeah, that's true. There's only so much time you could play this game, and I truly think it would have been better if they added most of the stuff I had, but they tried their best. It turned out fine, but DLC for adding new characters is just what destroyed it. If they really wanted to try, they would just give it to us for free. But they want to make as much money on one game instead of just creating another new game.
Before you get bored of the game, so I think with WWE 2K, with WWE versus AEW, both of them might be coming out in 2022. So I think that you should really invest in more time on making a second game too. If they can release another console game at the same time, I'd say that's the only way they're going to beat WWE. Because as far as the game goes, WWE is still going to be on PlayStation 4, is what I'm assuming. So their game is probably going to be bought more than the actual AEW game. So they have to
I was right, but for a different reason. If you know, you know.
tactics like that, and not just that it's new. We must release new. Think. It's not that hard to think of these things. If I was running AEW, I would do a 10 times better job.
I still tend to agree that I could have done a better job than what came out. I had a fun time playing the career mode. I am more of a universe mode guy and a GM mode guy, and that's the problem. They had nothing like that, and I feel like many friends got generally disinterested in it because of it.
I would be thinking, we don't rush this game, but let's make 2 consoles game. Make it ahead of time. So if you ever go out of business, at least you have 2 or 3 or 4 games under your belt. But I digress, and that's not the topic for today. I don't know why I keep talking about the topic, but I still think that this. Now I'm going to give my opinion back. I think, for me, I think that the AEW game is not going to be that good because they don't really have anything to go off that much. Because there's only so much time you could play games like that without it getting boring, without something in the middle besides match type to make it interesting. Game modes make it interesting.
And that's the main reason why the game didn't do as good as they hoped. They spent too much on the game, so they were trying to get the money back by DLC, and then they were doing stuff that just didn't make sense. Having DLC for every new character or every new person on the roster, that's why it ultimately failed. But as I said, I still think it was a fun game as far as the career mode goes, because that's what I played mostly.
But I honestly think that the AEW should start making 2 or 3 games at a time for the console. And
2 to 3 is not a good idea. I feel like they need to start going for a realistic route, or just make another game that's a little bit better in quality and has something like universe mode, something like GM mode where you could get invested.
The only reason why I say that is because they will get more money that way. And this project has been costing them a lot. Then why not release 4 games and maybe you could end up getting more money back?
You could also lose a lot more money. That's all I have to say.
They're going to end up like WCW.
They still have not ended up like WCW, but if they keep treating their women's division really badly, no amount of women wrestlers you add to your roster could help the already terrible way you treated your women in the past. There's no erasing that. They have very terrible opportunities on television, which means they get barely any at all on television, if not 0.
You want me to tell you why? Because they're not making enough games that are fun. No one wants to play a casino game, and I guarantee no one wants to play a poker game. That ain't fun. The GM mode was fun for the first 5 seconds. You have to come up with something original. Original! Do I have to say it again?
You're talking about the company that hires WWE stars, then forgets that they even exist. They do nothing original, except, they're even like WCW. Because the owner is a wrestling fan, that doesn't necessarily mean that you could create a wrestling company. There's a difference.
you're trying to become something that you're not. Like a WWE game is basing it on a WWE game is fine, but you won't have the same magic as the WWE game did because that was released in the 90s. This is 2000. This is 2020s. You have to think before releasing it. It's not. It's like it would have.
That's another reason why they fail, because of the awkward looking the awkward looking the awkward lookingness of the game, because it looked like something that would come out 20 years ago instead of something that came out recently. I'll show you something later.
If this was like 1999, but I'm going to say it's probably not a best idea to go based on an old game, because that's just saying you want it to have this it to be better than No Mercy, which is probably not going to be done correctly and to fans' liking. So I think if AEW ever hired me, they would get good results. I'm not the legal age to get a job yet, but I'm not actually gonna, but if I could get a job there just as a decision maker, because I feel like the person who runs it is a billionaire, so he should not have problems with it. But with the money and not having that,
buddy, he can't even handle CM Punk. He can't even handle Kenny Omega. He can't even handle backstage issues correctly without fearing for his life, and you think he's going to be able to handle a game. Young, naive me.
Many fans back and everyone having to wear a mask, not many people are probably going to be going to the shows. And that's how they lose money. But if you make 5 wrestling games at a time and start working on them, you can't, maybe just make 2 now, and then each year, if you expand your roster more and you actually stop jobbing out young talent on Dark, the show, maybe you would have more wrestlers to put in the game and make it more fun. I think that one thing I would love to see as far as a good wrestling game, I think the best wrestling game was WWE 2K16. It had an interesting showcase mode. It had interesting match types for the Xbox 360. See, they're trying to go for something that's outdated. It's kind of like if they released something for the Xbox 360, maybe it would make more sense. But or the PlayStation 3, but the PS4 and the Xbox One should be fine for this game console, because I'm telling you, they're going to lose a heavy amount of profit on this game.
And they did, and they spent too much on the game, so their profits didn't go as much as they hoped. And that ultimately made them fail in the long run.
Because it's a new console, and not many people have been really praising the PlayStation 5. So I think they should go for the PS4 release. But that's just in my opinion because I have one. But I think the superior option is just not to release the game yet. Is not to release a game yet at all until you have an established roster. They only been around 2 or 3 years. WWE's been around for a very long time. You have to think of those things that might factor in it not succeeding, because WWE has had plenty of games, and
yeah, that is true, and they figured out what worked and what didn't, and as for AEW, they're trying to still make a success off of a failed game.
This is AEW's first one. I don't want them ending up like TNA or Impact, where they only have one game because it was so horrible. No one wanted to play it. I think
nobody wanted to play this because of the mini games, not many modes, and as I said before, the lack of interest of the match types that they had. They could have did a lot more with the game, but instead they went the lazy route, add DLC to add tournaments and do this and this instead of just, doing their job and making a
there's
game.
a fun factor here that if they don't have enough money, they could end up getting bought out by a bunch of different people, and everyone will be fighting for this top division.
Okay, that's where we're gonna stop. I'll be right back to show you what the game looked like when it first came out. Here's what this guy looks like in real life. Here's what he looked like in the game. Like, that's how bad the graphic. And this is Comedy King Carl. Goodbye.